Hey guys, welcome back or welcome. This is your first time here, and this is actually my first video. So yeah, hi, this is Beijing David, and I'm new on YouTube. And today I'm gonna talk about something that sounds extremely sensitive. Have you ever wondered how many masterpieces displayed in Chinese museums are actually authentic? So, everyone knows China has thousands of years of history, amazing culture, amazing art, priceless artifacts. So, many Chinese overseas who really understand the inner working of the PRC will openly donate Chinese relics, but only to museums that are outside the PRC. In 2018, a Chinese American collector named Wen Wange donated 183 Chinese cultural relics from his personal collection. The estimated value, over 1 billion RMB, and he donated them totally for free. The answer is actually very simple. Because people like him love Chinese culture and they want to protect them. That's a very famous Buddhist master from Taiwan, Master Xingyun, once said something that sounds extremely direct. He said that under the current political and institutional environment in China, Chinese cultural relics are actually safer when preserved overseas. The statement alone makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable. But there's a reason people say things like this. The real reason is, inside the territory of the PRC, a large number of precious cultural relics simply disappear every year. In 1959, one of China's most famous collector, Pang Laichen, donated 137 cultural relics to the Nanjing Museum, totally free of charge. They included the Spring of Jiangnan, a painting by Qiu Ying, a Ming Dynasty master, twin horses, a hanging scroll by Zhao Guangpu from the Northern Song Dynasty, the landscape in the style of Beiyuan by Wang Shining. And here's an important detail. In Chinese collecting culture, collectors always stamp their personal seals on artworks, and Peng Laichen did the same. So anything that passed through his hands is actually very easy to identify. Fast forward to mid-May 2025, one of those donated works, The Spring of Jiangnan, suddenly appeared at a Beijing art auction preview, and the starting price is 88 million RMB. Let me repeat that. A painting that was donated to a national museum was now about to be auctioned. And this was discovered by Pang Shuling, the Pang Laichen's great-granddaughter. She immediately reported the case to the relevant department of the government. During her investigation, Ms. Pang discovered something disturbing. Some of these items listed in her great-grandfather's original donation inventory were already missing. But here's the key problem. She was not granted permission to check whether the remaining items were still in the museum. Then the Nanjing Museum responded. Their explanation, they claimed that the Jiangnan Spring, along with many other donated relics, had been officially identified by experts as forgeries. According to the internal procedures, these fake works were eternally disposed of, just sold, for 6,800 RMB to unknown individuals. Here's where things fall apart. Ms. Pang later discovered that many of these so-called fake artworks keep appearing in major auction houses, selling for huge amounts of money. For example, in June 2014, at the Jianglai 10th Anniversary Spring Auction in Shanghai, twin horses sold for 2.3 million RMB. In November 2005, at Beijing Police Autumn Auction, landscape in the style of Beiyuan was sold at a high price. In 2007, at the Beijing Datang Autumn Auction, another landscape scroll donated by Peng was sold again. At this point, honestly, any normal person understands what's going on. The donated relics were simply taken by people inside the system. And now here's something even darker. The Nanjing Museum has had two famous directors, both of whom died by suicide, directly or indirectly linked to the missing cultural relics. In 1964, the first director, Zheng Shaoyu, killed himself by jumping from a tower, after cultural relics under his care were taken by high-level officials and could not be recovered. After his death, Yao Qian became the director. He was known for being serious, principled, and not politically flexible. He refused repeated requests from the officials to borrow relics. He demanded the return of the items already taken. And what happened next? He was accused of academic misconduct, internally criticized by the Jiangsu provincial government, and publicly attacked by major state media like Guangming Daily. So in 1984, Yao Qian hanged himself at home. This leads to a saying that quietly circulates in Chinese antique circles: one piece in the Palace Museum, one piece in my hand. In October 2002, there was a Qing Dynasty Imperial Artifact auction in Hong Kong. A Palace Museum expert named Ye Peilan, who had worked there for over 40 years, attended. She noticed a statue with a catalog number on its base. That number she wrote it herself 30 years earlier. What does this mean? The statue was a registered Palace Museum artifact. Yet there it was, on the open auction market. An investigation traced these artifacts back. In 1972, they were officially transferred from the Palace Museum to the Altar Eight Temples Cultural Relics Authority in Chengde, Hebei. On paper, everything looked normal. When investigators checked the warehouse, all registered items were present. But expert appraisal later confirmed something shocking. Most of the stored artifacts were forgeries. The case was blamed entirely on one man, Li Haitao, head of the cultural protection at Altar Eight Temples. He admitted that each time he stole and sold one real relic, he replaced it with a fake. Officially, he sold 152 relics, including 4 first-grade and 47 second-grade items. But here's what's the missing from the verdict. No illegal profit amount, no asset seizure records, no explanation of where the money went, no clear recovery record. Even stranger, a total of 259 relics were missing, but only 152 were blamed on Li Haitao. The rest, no one knows. And after sentencing, Li Haitao and his entire family disappeared from public view. In reality, this wasn't about one museum or one official. This is part of a much larger system. For decades, top officials like Guo Moruo, Kang Sheng, Deng Tuo had first access to confiscated or donated cultural relics. Only what they didn't want was sent to museums. Estimates suggest that if their personal collections were worth tens of billions of RMB, after their deaths, most of those relics vanished. Occasionally, they reappeared at overseas auctions. To be precise, even many of the artifacts currently displayed in Chinese top museums were never the first choice. They were what remained after senior party leaders had already selected what they wanted for themselves. What the public sees today is often not the best of what survived, but the best of what was left behind. So I'm not telling you this to be dramatic. I'm telling you this to explain something very simple. People who truly understand the system do not trust its history. And that's why they don't donate relics back. Because sometimes the most dangerous place for culture is the place that claims to protect it. If this was your first time hearing a story like this, you are not alone. If you want me to keep talking about the history, power, truths of this amazing country, and the things nobody tells you, you can like, subscribe, or comment. I read everything. I'll see you next time.